Got a tricky question for you. So a lot of banks have been operating on that licensing model where they're locked in for a 3-year contract to basically provide their payments. And a lot of other banks now starting to move into this as a service model. Is that licensing way of doing business, is that just dead in the water now, and that everyone is moving into the as a service model? Like, is that something that we're going to kind of view the same way that you're currently viewing checks?
Yeah, there is never a t-shirt size for all. There's that you have to have some level of choice and availability. I do think if we're thinking about software as a service being the way that a large number of mid-tier organizations are going to go, it could be large tier organizations as well. In our case, we've got some very large organizations going to software as a service. But one of the things that's interesting outside of innovation and as we just talked about is also the fact that there's a huge amount of convergence happening in payments. So if you think about instant again, and you think of a de novo bank, for example, setting up business in the US today, they have to think about how their payment flows are going to go over time, right? So they have to start thinking, well, actually, I might receive some payments through ACH bulk files, but the best way for my customer for those payments to be fulfilled is to send them through the real-time rails. You can think about people's salaries, especially when you're talking about contractors or the gig economy, that sort of stuff. You want to send those payments as quickly as possible, and you want them to do at scale. So that there's going to be some convergence between wires, ACH, and instant payments, and it's really going to be driven by your customers' preferences. So a couple of things you're going to have to be able to understand: what your customers want, what their preferences are, and it's going to depend on the type of payment, on the value of the payment. But you also have to be able to fulfill that efficiently. So today, not only there's an interest in a subscription-based payment, so that you start sort of having as well sort of per transaction volume, so you grow with your customers. There's also an interest in having a single solution where you can start smart routing or intelligently routing payments through the right channel. And to be quite honest, as individuals or as corporates, we really don't care which rail the payments is going through, as long as I know that my payment is going to go through. I have visibility of my payment, and it's based on my preferences, my own risk preferences, or my own time requirements, if you like. So not only there's a change in the way that banks are looking to consume software, there's also a way that is changing of not being linked to silos and looking at rails as individual units, individual business areas, because we're starting to see that convergence already. Maybe it will start with a certain type of payment, sort of being routed towards instant, and some interesting use cases, but it's not just this move towards a subscription-based payment. It's also being able to have a single a single flow of the payments, whatever the rail type. And then just expanding on that as well, it's also thinking about the fact that in instant, for example, you're going to start with very small volumes, perhaps because you're testing the water, you're offering this to a set number of customers, or you're thinking about certain limits on the payments. But the possibility is that it grows exponentially as we get reach. And, it's only fair that you sort of grow with your customers, grow with the transaction. So that flexibility is all about the flexibility that people are looking for. And it'll be even more important because there's more stuff happening in instant. You probably saw the announcement around, IXB, instant cross-border, the dollar to euro with TCH, RTP, and EBA, RT1. that's just the first phase, of looking at instant in the cross-border world.